Welcome back to the Smite Summer Finals. Finch here, joined by Taco. We just saw a tough set there for Nocturnes. They end up falling to E United. And that means now it's time to move on in that lower bracket. We're going to be going up against Black Dragons to see Spacestation.
And this won't be an easy one either for Spacestation by any means, or Black Dragons for that matter, because Black Dragons, for what it's worth, has definitely felt like one of the stronger international teams here representing.
Yeah, I think that they absolutely have a chance here up against Spacestation Gaming. We saw Black Dragons in their setup against a rival that was back on day one become very close in that first game to being able to tank it away. They weren't able to quite get all the way into the Titan room. They took down the Phoenix, but in the end, they end up dropping to rival. Hopefully they can build off of that performance that we saw them have there, their ability to capitalize whenever there's an opportunity and try and grab the win.
And I'm glad that you said capitalizing off of an opportunity, because that's what it felt like in their initial set against rival.
Right.
Even though they did ultimately wind up losing that one, it was still a matter of fact that rival just did not look like they were on their A game there in game number one, and it almost cost them the match, in fact, and that could very well still be a threat here today for Space Station. They've got to make sure to bring that same level of energy that they had up against Energy, if not more so, because they want to find themselves coasting through back into the winner bracket.
Yeah, they had a tough set earlier up against Energy, didn't they? And they were very close. They came out of that game one with a very clear strategy, a very unique start, and kind of put Energy on the back foot. But after that, they really couldn't recover, and they ended up dropping. Can they, sort of shake that off, make sure they maintain their confidence here as they move into this set against Black Dragons? They are, of course, expected to win, but good teams win the matches they're supposed to.
As far as I noticed, andinster and Aquarius have been on fire together this LAN. Their synergy has been through the roof. So those two, just keep doing whatever it is you're doing. BaRRa, Jeff, and Baskin, don't get me wrong, Baskin has definitely been doing his part. JeffHindla has also, of course, been doing his part. BaRRa struggling a little bit here, but I think that set yesterday against Energy, not so many people were able to recognize just how heavily prioritized Energy were towards this dual lane. Adapting also made it very obvious that he had clear intentions to just take care of BaRRaCCuDDa and keep him away from being a part of the engagements. And it's hard to be a player to try and recover, because we're so used to seeing BaRRaCCuDDa know that he has to be the one in the spotlight.
It's tough, isn't it, when he's the one that's getting focused out, and some people are giving him a bit of a hard time, but we know BaRRa can bounce back in a pretty big way. I expect him to be able to. In fact, we had a chance to talk with him and JeffHindla, get their thoughts in the interview. Let's go ahead and listen to that now.
Today, we've got to see Space Station Gaming take on Black Dragons. First real question, boys. Are you ready for the Klizness?
No.
More of a serious question. Reflecting back on day number 2 on your set against NRG, what can you take from that set to move on throughout the rest of this tournament?
For me, I watched it back. Well, I watched a little bit with Ghostback last night. And basically what I got was I was positioning a little bit too selflessly. Pretty much whatever we called something, I would position myself, like say we called Gold or say we called Portal, like I was always hitting it when I knew it was bad, and I was still committing to it just because we called it. And like, you can't just call someone and be like, no, I kind of just want to sit back here, like I'll see you guys later. But so moving forward, I want to position a lot more selfishly and just stay alive, because it felt like against Energy all I was doing was dying.
Now, meta talk a little bit. Obviously, you guys have been around the block a while now. Now, we saw the spring LAN meta. Summer LAN metas rolled round, and it was you guys, along with the rest of North America, kind of running double hunters or double auto attackers. This time around, EU seems to be going that way a little bit. What do you reckon this is? Is this the right way to play? What is it that's changed that's allowed this to happen?
Honestly, they're just playing it differently than our iteration of it, right? So, like, when us and United were playing it, like, and that was it. It was Hunter mid, red, no matter what. They're much more comfortable with hanging out. Okay, we have a Hunter mid. We don't need to force everything. We're just, we can look at objectives, we can poke people out, and they just play it differently for sure.
So, assuming you guys will find a victory over Black Dragons, and assuming E United win as well, would you rather play this immediate game into that E United set, or would you rather have a little bit of a break in between, and why?
I'd much rather play right after, because, if we win, then you're coming in kind of hot on it. You're like, cool, you're confident in your team, you just picked up a win, and then I mean, they'd be in the same spot, but I do believe we play after them, so coming in slightly hotter.
The The fans at home, and obviously the history will tell a lot of people that North America may do very well today up against the international teams. So that kind of puts everyone in the forefront of E-United is going to be your opposition after this game if you do well. Real question, though, is how do you think you're going to perform against E-United? Does one of you have an edge over the other, or is it just who's best on the day?
Definitely who's best on the day. In scrims, they were kind of beating us, but we played way better than we've been playing in scrims. So definitely whoever shows up.
Okay, well, good luck today against Kliz, and we'll see you later on.
Thank you.
That was a really good interview there from Jeff and BaRRa. It was nice to get some insight into what they were thinking, especially about what went wrong there in the last game. And it sounds like BaRRa felt that maybe he was just going along with the calls a little bit too much, even to his own detriment. So maybe we'll see him playing a little bit more to make sure that he's alive, he's in a good position. And I think this team can thrive in that way. Yes, the calls are important, but you also need to make sure that you live to be in the fights.
Well, we'll see what happens and whether or not Black Dragons want to try and take up some of that energy mindset as far as targeting out the hunter and just keeping him away from the engagements. But whether or not that's their calling card, it is clear that these two teams are ready to go. Kliz, I think, probably one of the more familiar faces of this Black Dragon squad. You've probably seen him all over the place if you happen to follow any of the Smite community on Twitter. Definitely a fun personality and charisma to be around, but whenever it comes to the game time, it's all business.
Yeah, sounds like it is indeed all Klizness for the Black Dragon squad. In fact, let's go ahead and take a listen here to what Nann and Kliz were thinking before coming into this set.
I'm joined by Nann and Kliz from the Black Dragons here today, and they're going to be taking on Spacestation a little bit later on. You played these guys in spring, and now you get a rematch redemption time for you. How are you both feeling coming into this set today?
Feeling pretty good. I'm pretty sure if we fix our mistakes, the set should be like really good one because they're a very good team. So I'm excited to play them.
And I mean, you all have got to be confident, I feel like, going into this set. I mean, day one, you were so close. Day two, you look so strong as well. And I feel like you've been consistently kind of improving throughout these days. I mean, talk to me about how some of your play earlier on this event is helping y'all going into this game.
I think from our last LAN, we improved a lot because it was first LAN for our new jungler. So right now we are more confident. We practice more. And day one, I think we played well first game, and it was a boost of confidence for us. And the second day, we played well too. I think we have the skills.
So my real question then is, what do you think your strengths are in this set against Spacestation today? Is it about team fights? Is it about individual solo playing the lanes? What's the sort of strategy going in? Where do you think you're going to shine?
I think we're a cohesive team when we actually communicate properly. So I'm pretty sure we can, as long as we follow our comps and follow our way of playing, we can beat them like in a 5v5 for sure.
Well, it's always great to get to hear some of y'all's thoughts. Of course, good luck in this set. We'll make sure we keep following up on y'all's progress.
Thank you.
Glad to get a chance to hear there from Nann and Kliz, and I think they kind of touched on the most important thing, which is they got to make sure their jungler is ready to go. That felt like the big difference to me between day one and day two, right? Was how well zGonnZ played day two, and he struggled a little bit day one.
He played a much more reserved in day number two because game day number one. I keep wanting to say game.
That's right.
I'll figure it out later on. But one thing is for sure, Black Dragon's jungler seems to have figured out how to play a little bit more disciplined because he was just usually throwing himself a little bit too far out there, over-aggressing without the rest of the team being capable of following up simply because they were too far away, and that can happen on Ratatoskr. It's very easy to lose sight of where everyone else is on the map, including your own teammates at times, because it can be hard to want to just drop that kill entirely, but sometimes you just have to be satisfied with pulling an active or pulling an ultimate.
There might be something to that, as adapting, I think, overstepped a few times on the Ratatoskr day two as well. I think all of Energy felt like maybe they didn't play quite up to their preferred level, but that's neither here nor there. There could certainly be something to even picks getting you to sort of step a little bit too far off line, and zGonnZ definitely seemed to have reined that in. I think we also heard from the Black Dragon guys, though, that zGonnZ didn't have quite as much time before they actually started playing. Like, I think he only just recently arrived a little bit later than everyone else, so maybe wasn't completely warmed up but he looked much better to me on that day 2 when they played their other set. So hopefully he can bring some of that magic in here for Black Dragons and facilitate for the rest of this squad, because you already know what Nann's going to be bringing you out of the mid lane. They already know that that jungle mid can be a way for them to win the game.
And like the interview mentioned also, this is a matchup that took place in the springtime. It's Black Dragon's moment for redemption in Season 5 for the summer split, and whether or not they're going to be able to capitalize off of that, it's still unclear, but they are great at punishing teams for their mistakes, and we've already discussed it just a few times. This team has enough potential, I think, between Nann, between PIBE, and everyone else on the squad has really just been stepping up their level of play to make sure that they can bring out the best performances possible every time.
No, I'm right there with you. This Black Dragon squad certainly has the chance here to try and be close up against Spacestation, especially if they slip here. But if Spacestation are playing on their game, it will not be an easy task for Black Dragons, especially not now that the Cerberus, Ratatoskr have coming out. This is a bit curious. The Chang'e still available, the Janus as well could all have been prioritized, but Spacestation wanted the Cerberus, they wanted the Ratatoskr. They wanted to make sure they had their jungle and potentially their solo, potentially their support.
And we haven't had a whole lot of chances to talk about this guy, but Khepri has started to resurface over the past couple of days lately. And this is one of those land picks, kind of takes me back to the Season 3 in a sense, and where we really started to see like the resurgence of Khepri, because for a while he was left alone for so long, and then suddenly it's all that energy starts picking up, or I believe at the time it was Epsilon and Panthera days.
Sure.
And it was just Khepri always seems to be one of those land meta-based picks where you go for that god, because a lot of teams, whenever they try to look for isolated picks, Khepri is perfect for shutting that down.
Yeah, he's really good when there's like an all-in commit, right? Especially like a big burst mage ultimate, or even a dive, or something like a Ratatoskr jumping in, when ordinarily that would almost certainly spell certain doom. Khepri can kind of pull them back from the blink with that Scarab's Blessing. So this pick can do well for these teams. We'll see how well they play around it, but they already have a strong composition to Black Dragons. I mean, Janus, Mercury, it's great mobility. Mercury as well, with that Sonic Boom ultimate, he can crash in on you from the jungle. He can even come like behind his own tier 1 tower and shoot back up to gank you in lane. He has a ton of options available to him, so I wouldn't be surprised if Black Dragons try and use that mobility.
Would like to see a little bit more confirmable damage, though, on the side of Black Dragons. Right now, Janus, Mercury, yes, plenty of mobility and plenty of map presence to be provided, but it is kind of worrisome that they don't have that all-in guaranteed potential, I want to say, because it can be kind of difficult for a Mercury to stick on top of members, especially since Spacestation have opted for a lot of interrupt potential with these first 3 picks.
Black Dragons ban away the Thanatos here in the ban phase, perhaps worried that Aquarius is going to pull that out regardless of the Janus pick being across the table. And I like that. Aquarius has looked really strong on it lately, but there's still a lot of really strong solo laners available even without banning that away, so they might get punished either way as a Morrigan comes in for Spacestation to go along with the Medusa. I was going to say they're giving up the double hunter, but maybe not. Morrigan's kind of a way for you to technically have your mage and a hunter if you want it at the same time, so maybe they are still leaning towards that same strat.
And not only that, but you have the possibilities now for a double through the Cosmos, double Petrified. There's even a double Stingent Torment to an extent. Not too sure, though, how often Baskin's going to want to opt for a less aggressive motive there. But if initiation...
Yeah, I don't know if he can get kills if he turns into the Cerberus. He's trying to get kills, Taco.
Then again,
He's
Paralyzing Spit
That's a lot. You're right. It's a lot.
Does farm pretty hard.
To be fair, is that not also what he'd be leveling on the Morrigan? Paralyzing Spit's the first ability, right? So maybe there is something there, right? Yeah.
It could be. You never really know, and never really know also if this is going to be a pick for Jeff or if it's for Aqua just yet. I think that there's still room for things to be interchangeable if that's the direction that Spacestation want to lean towards, but I do like what Spacestation have done in terms of their crowd control area, because I think that their spacing is going to be controlled a little bit better in some of these jungle engagements than that of Black Dragons. Black Dragons just have great disengagement to go through with, so Spacestation, if they aren't able to execute immediately off of their aggression, then they're probably going to have to just back off and wait until Black Dragons use some of those cooldowns.
Yeah, it's not going to be that easy for them to all in. I agree with Black Dragons disengage being strong, but even a Scarab's Blessing can get them away from an all-in execute from Spacestation unless it's onto the Khepri. So this I don't think is going to be an easy task for them, as the Amaterasu and the Hou-Yi end up coming through. Ama almost certainly going to be the solo laner here. Hou-Yi going to be going over to MarcelZ. And there's Chang'e. Can you imagine getting the 10th pick? Chang'e.
Doesn't happen every day.
What a world, huh?
But Black Dragons did not want to deal with the Thanatos just on the oddball occasion.
That is the
Aquarius
I
just
got to
goes for
10th
it.
pick Chang'e face just now that we just saw from Aqua, by the way. That's what that face was.
Or it's the I have to play Chang'e again because my team won't let me pick anything else in this position. Whichever way that it ended up being for Space Station, this is a very well-rounded and thought-out draft. They're going to have a little bit of sustain, and the best part is that Morrigan just has so many different options here with that transformation.
Giving us the death stare there. Everybody's trying to get everything situated here, but I like these drafts really from both teams. Space Station, I think at least for my money, I'm leaning a little bit more towards it. And have they kind of won you over there in the Mixer chat? Go ahead and vote for us now in the poll and let us know between Black Dragon and Space Station. What about you, Taco? You leaning either direction just based on the drafts?
Black Dragons are a pretty speedy composition. Amaterasu is going to help out Mercury pretty greatly because she'll help him be able to build up that passive a little bit faster, and that's just going to contribute more to his overall power spikes and damage. And I also am a fan of the Hou-Yi because if spacing was ever the concern, which Space Station have so much space control, I can definitely see why that would be.
Is it because they have a station
issue
up there? And so they control the space easier?
Aggro, you look very different these days.
We need a space force. Send a force out to space.
All right, NASA Finch, apparently. You no longer work for Skillshot. We're just trying to get you all the way straight to the moon.
Trying to get to the moon. And, hey, not a bad idea. Maybe Chang'e is up there and I can hang out with her, but either way, we're going to get to see how these two compositions end up working in action. Let's go ahead and get into the game. We'll send it over to the casters.
Thank you so much, Space Station Finch, or so it should be. My name's Hindu, and joining me on the cast today is the one, the only, the illustrious Anatoly. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. The last set, very interesting stuff from the other North American side. This time it's up to Space Station to join them in this next set. And they're not taking it easy. You can tell during Picks and Banter when we had the player cameras on, it was onto Aquarius, and I think he wanted something other than the Chang'e.
Definitely some interesting things from this. Black Dragon's all about the mobility. I mean, Mercury, Janus on their own, and then you've even got Kliz in there on the Amaterasu to help support that where required. Space Station Gaming, though, definitely a team fight heavy composition, and definitely looking to play to their strengths to sustain with this Chang'e. We'll see how this works out for them.
A lot of burst, I would say, between this Mercury Hou-Yi, but then you also got the safety options from Black Dragon's PIBE. Playing the Khepri allows zGonnZ to use that global ultimate freely, recognizing that Scarab's Blessing will apply a secondary life.
A little bit slow this one out from Black Dragons,
Yikes.
and that means Jeff walks in the jungle and goes, thank you. I'll take that purple experience. Don't mind if I do.
He denied himself a couple of experience points off of the melee minions, but totally worth. That paralyzing spit, even at level 1, has a lot of burst damage that makes it difficult for either a Hou-Yi or the Khepri to secure that one. They needed to position the Hou-Yi perfectly to get a triple bounce.
Yeah, not too, well, bit surprised to see that often, the paralyzing sprint at the first level. Normally, it's the ghastly breath just for the extra wave clear and the slow and poke potential that comes with it. But it worked out in favor of Space Station Gaming early on with this Morrigan as well. I want to talk about this, Tolly. Bit more Morrigan coming into play just lately. Been a while since we've seen it.
Well, there's just more options and opportunities for the Morrigan user to do at every stage of the game, and that's always nice to have several options, whether you're trying to escape defensively or make a play happen. Baskin can do double Ratatoskr ultimate. We can be seeing a double Waxing Moon any single moment, or even just a late game Mercury for Space Station as well.
Kliz and the Amaterasu going with the Warrior's Blessing at the start of this game. We'll see what he does with his relic, though. I like the fact he held it totally just in case, as the dual lane still boxing away. Slight advantages towards Space Station as the Acid Spit came out there from BaRRaCCuDDa. MarcelZ took a little bit more poke than bargained for.
Being able to deny Black Dragons their own purple buff means that Space Station's duo hit level 3 first, and now they're going to abuse this experience advantage by zoning and freezing the wave.
Now with this as well, keep an eye on Mercury on the left-hand side. zGonnZ deep in the enemy jungle, and we were speaking to Black Dragons earlier on, Tolly, and I was asking, hey, how's zGonnZ doing? Because day one he didn't look too hot, day 2 he looked great, and the answer is that technically he flew in the same day to play. So, you know, now that he had a bit of rest and recuperation, maybe we'll see even better play out of zGonnZ here today.
Takes a little bit of time to warm up. And I think that both of these teams are definitely warmed up heading into this set. Not too much action quite yet. No one really hitting that level 5 marker. zGonnZ's getting more experience on than andinster, but on the flip side, Baskin is getting that lead over Nann.
BaRRaCCuDDa gonna have to use his beads there. On the right-hand side, the invade for the blue buff is gonna hurt zGonnZ quite a little bit here. Still trying to hang around to contest the blue buff, but zGonnZ is gonna be so careful. Aquarius can get some distance with those abilities, as Andy is just gonna take the blue buff away. In the end, Black Dragons have to surrender it.
zGonnZ not even gonna get his backcams. Great play from the North American, stripping away the blue, leading into the backcams. But now they have to hold on to their own purple.
MarcelZ looking for the double bounce and does so well. The ricochet, no beads available for BaRRa as in jumps MarcelZ. It is an upgraded Shelly had, but that won't last long. BaRRaCCuDDa gets first blood, and Jeff's gonna make sure BaRRa gets a double kill.
Oh my goodness, feeling themselves. Black Dragons were on that play. It was a good ricochet hitting BaRRaCCuDDa, but he was too healthy anyway, and that ricochet only sitting at level 1. You got 1 point in the mark of the Golden Crow, the dive bomb, and now the ricochet. If that was maybe a level 4 play where you have 2 points in the ricochet, that play would be more enticing.
Mid lane, Nann under pressure, jumps for his pull, and the beads. In comes zGonnZ to help out, but already Nann is dead. Now zGonnZ under pressure too, and the combination of Spacestation Gaming's mid lane and jungler comes up fortuitous.
Wonderful stuff all across the board, trying to rotate again to invade these backcamps for the second time, rewarding themselves even more farm. Spacestation Gaming building off of about an 1,800 gold lead.
Yeah, this is the last chance for Black Dragons here, as well as Spacestation in this best of 3. Loser will see their tournament hopes and dreams fall to the wayside now, as Aquarius gets poked out nicely by Kliz, but the benefit of the meditation comes through.
Trying to make it happen on the speed buff. No invades quite yet from either side, as andinster will grab his own speed buff. Left-hand side, though, JeffHindla was successful in invading the purple buff 1 time. Could easily look for more plays with a little bit of a bounty from that double kill. He's able to apply these offensive wards, and it could catch Black Dragon slipping.
Yeah, it's about 2,000 gold at the moment in the lead for Spacestation Gaming as they're looking towards the right-hand side again. And on the left, PIBE gets picked up, unable to get away from the aggression.
Aquarius looking for another blue buff invade. Kliz doesn't have the levels necessary to heal himself up, and a good waxing moon will seal the deal if they're not careful.
Getting a little bit awkward now by the looks of this. Totally. Already 4 kills for Spacestation in 5 minutes. And Black Dragons can't seem to find a window in their own jungle at the moment. The left and the right side currently losing, which means eventually the mid lane's going to feel that pressure too.
zGonnZ in a 1v1 against andinster. Still has the special delivery, but no one really beside him. Nann does take the zone portal through the tier 1 mid tower, but you gotta keep Baskin in mind. That Morrigan play, he can still use his ultimate, even though it's still on cooldown. You gotta be able to just make sure that if you're gonna make a play, expect at least some return fire from this mid laner.
What do we need to see our Black Dragons here? Hold that fort as Andy's got his ult up again. Comes to the mid lane, picks up zGonnZ. Beads wasn't in time. Space and time fire by Nann, hits onto Baskin. But it's early game, so it doesn't do as much damage as you expect to see from those Janus snipes.
It's just an ultimate just to fire out there. It wasn't going to allow a play to happen. PIBE and Nann, with Nann only having about 15 to 20% mana, not enough to find lethal on any target. Spacestation Gaming extend their lead even further with their 5th kill of the game.
Nann in the mid lane under pressure is Baskin going to turn into andinster technically. Spin to win. Nann has no mana, no ultimate, no life.
Wow, Baskin anticipated the juke back perfectly. JeffHindla able to survive with the left-hand side. Just 200 IQ plays out of Baskin, switching to the Ratatoskr, held on to that second ability for so long that finally once he got slowed by the threshold where he couldn't get off any more basic attacks, that's when he invested in that flurry of acorns.
Spacestation Gaming in this first game looking fantastic. They've really come in with aggression here, not wasting any time in this one, trying to keep this pressure up, and now looking to the left-hand side.
Well, the late game is scary from the Brazilian, so already Spacestation Gaming not stopping on the pressure.
PIBE took a lot more poke than bargained for. Baskin was trying to do the purple. But now with the pressure from Nann coming over, they've got to be careful. Beads used on BaRRaCCuDDa. Pulled down from Nann. BaRRa escapes the tragic situation down the left-hand side, and maybe Black Dragons can get their own purple here.
BaRRaCCuDDa was in a bad spot. No, JeffHindla stripping that one away. He can even find a kill. No, just forcing out the beats from MarcelZ without his special delivery. Can't really make a counterplay, but BaRRaCCuDDa in that spot was like, oh, excuse me, pardon me. Mind if I leave?
Andy gonna beat Ian Unstable Vortex support from JeffHindla. No ultimate available there as Andy gonna take to the sky and realize he'd hung around the enemy jungle a little bit too long there, so go back, farm up, get some health back thanks to the Assassin's Blessing.
With no kills, but 2 assists to his name, andinster has been setting up Baskin a little bit in the mid lane. 3 kills on the Morrigan play, but still using his defensive ultimate perfectly. andinster is very versatile and knows what's the most optimal play at any given moment.
Kliz done a good job so far of staying in this lane, equal level alongside Aquarius' Chang'e here. I'm just looking at the net worth between the two. It's about 300 gold down in terms of net worth, which isn't doom and gloom as an Amaterasu. He will scale nicely into the late game, Tony.
And that's what I was going to get to before we saw a little bit of action around that red buff, was that the late game from Black Dragons is to be respected. Mercury, Amaterasu, Janus. Then you got Khepri to save everybody, so you got mobility, offense, plus the defense. And Spacestation Gaming need to build this kind of a lead and start grouping up. The one thing that they have for themselves is the heal.
There is 2 people in the enemy jungle here, but they didn't know Nann was here. zGonnZ just missed with that sonic boom, which allowed Aquarius a window. Baskin gonna use the Ratatoskr ult to look at zGonnZ, but zGonnZ gets away. 8 cons to the back of his mush isn't good. Spin to win, and Aquarius dances another kill to victory.
Kliz with a sliver of health will escape this time around. Blue buff will be looked at. JeffHindla even making his presence, while BaRRaCCuDDa in a 1v1 against MarcelZ with a 3-level advantage.
I think the biggest problem here, Tony, is Black Dragons just doesn't have anything, any lane winning to be able to try and focus on here. Maybe an early game jungler, an early game mid lane, just something that could have got some pressure this game.
Well, Mercury could have applied some pressure, but he just didn't find the opportunity. Baskin, before level 5, is prime real estate gank-worthy grounds, but it just didn't seem to be fruitful for them because it was Spacestation Gaming that applied the burn in every lane, stripping away the purple buff and the blue/back camps before level 5. I think that if you ignore one of your side lanes, if your name is zGonnZ, and camp out Baskin, that's your course to victory.
We'll see if they can do that then, because at the moment you can see the experience gap is slowly growing. So most of the carries on Spacestation Gaming up a level or 2 more than you'd expect at only 10 minutes in the game. But Kliz was going aggressive for this blue buff, and he's going to punish andinster pretty heavily, but may get punished himself.
Oh, he's going to get pulled back in, and there's the knock-up. andinster recognizing that the CC is last long enough. BaRRaCCuDDa.
Is he streaming?
Stream.
It looked like he was streaming.
The streamer?
Yeah, it seemed that way. That's what I would say.
Like
but
this.
It's a good 1-for-1 from Black Dragons, to be fair, because everybody on Spacestation went to the right-hand side. So Black Dragons may get this, unless Baskin could stop
with
it.
his ultimate, he's up in the sky.
They're scared.
Oh, there he goes, but he's just a hair too short.
Good ult from PIBE to keep himself alive. Baskin still wants to keep the pressure going if he can, but Black Dragons punish Spacestation just a hair there for that rotation to right. However, the tier 1 tower did fall.
Great ultimate from Nann. Now, it didn't secure the Gold Fury, but they needed that surprise burst of damage because Baskin was in the sky, and he was timing his ultimate very effectively, but was not anticipating through space in time right behind that Gold Fury.
Ryan Harpy's going to go the way of Baskin as well, getting him to level 13 now. 3-level lead over his counterpart in the mid lane of Nann here. andinster now with his speed buff, working towards the shields that we've seen so much more of as time has gone on, while zGonnZ working towards a bit of crit.
Now, the shields are going to be wonderful for andinster, knowing that as a Ratatoskr, you're very vulnerable once you land, but zGonnZ needs to beat the glass cannon from Black Dragons. MarcelZ not getting any breathing room from BaRRaCCuDDa, not even going to receive his purple buff experience. I don't think he got experience from this camp the whole entire game.
Maybe just one. JeffHindla has decided this purple buff is his. He's 2 levels up on PIBE now, but got to be careful because Nann's around the back. Ricochet just off the mark, but once again, the tree is moving, or at least the rat was in it. He gets a double stun off as MarcelZ's beads are down. PIBE's life is over. Nann comes in to turn it around, but his beads are forced. Jeff hangs around too long, but here comes zGonnZ.
zGonnZ trying to make the rotation. BaRRaCCuDDa holding his ground, but surrounded yet again by 4 members this time. And there goes the ultimate, trying to defend his own red buff just in the nick of time.
Nice little play from Nann there. The quick 180, spin it around, fire the space and time. If that would have hit andinster, that could have been a dead little rat there, but instead, still came up trumps for Black Dragons with them getting that red buff and the tier 1 tower in the left-hand side. So, the gold lead is shrinking ever so slightly.
A little ambitious to continue the dive after the 1 kill. JeffHindla did force the beats from Nann, so about 120 seconds to abuse this Janus that just now hits that level 12 marker, expecting Spacestation Gaming to look for Nann.
Now the Pyromancer started up by Spacestation Gaming here. This is a best of 3. Winner will advance to take on eUnited. And later on today, we'll get to see the best Europe has to offer, as we'll watch Rival take on NRG in the upper bracket in a best of 5.
Should be an interesting one indeed. Black Dragons needing to find some sort of comeback in this game because things are starting to slip. Even though they got the Gold Fury just now finishing the Pyromancer, the North Americans extending their gold lead to about 4,700 gold now.
Yeah, a couple of mistakes coming out from Spacestation Gaming here and there, but it's over aggression more than anything. It seems to happen now and again that you don't necessarily see it in the general games. When they play on NAEU, they'd be abused a lot more so. There's still windows for Kliz and the boys to get back into this if they can find them.
It's very small windows, but they are presented from time to time. When you can find kills on BaRRaCCuDDa, you can lean on this tier 1 tower. That's exactly what Black Dragons did, getting 500 additional gold. Aquarius doing Aquarius things, using his ultimate to secure Kliz's blue buff. And both of these goddesses need that mana regen to spam their abilities.
Yeah, Kliz will still be okay for the time being though, but just got to be careful how far he overextends without having that tier 1 tower available. Spacestation Gaming looking to pick up the Khepri in the jungle once more. No dash available anymore, and the slows are going to cause some problems. One of the biggest issues for Khepri is his mobility, and he's going to feel it potentially now unless we see them double rat!
Oh.
None, but they were just a little bit too late for those nuts.
Baskin did transform to the Ratatoskr, and he gets hit by 2 ultimates!
Ultimate from Jeff, though, just going to peel the damage dealers away a little bit more so. Gets turned on himself, just a little pooch. Leaps away to safety. Nann was trying to get out too, but walks right into Aquarius. MarcelZ does pick up a kill, though, onto JeffHindla. So he's a 2-for-1 in favor of Spacestation Gaming.
Baskin was hiding the whole time while Kliz was looking for him, now getting punished. It's 3-for-1 at the end of the day. JeffHindla sacrificing himself the way a true support should. 12-4 Spacestation Gaming with a commanding 6,000 gold lead.
And you can just start to see this 10,000 experience being exploited across the map now. BaRRaCCuDDa and Baskin on this left-hand side. And totally the biggest thing is Baskin's been using this Ratatoskr ultimate on cooldown, even at the same time as andinster sometimes, to do the double combos where possible.
It's not a bad idea, trying to get off more damage. When you use the Flurry of Acorns, you apply the penetration with the second ability. You're being able to allow the second Ratatoskr to do even more damage.
Well, there's one thing about it that's actually you don't really think about. If both rats land at the same time, unless you look at the nameplate very quickly in the team fight, you don't know which one's the actual Morrigan.
That's true.
So you can play that bit of confusion of, hey, we're trying to kill Morrigan, and they might not get the one they were after.
Very true. A lot of deception with Morrigan, which is why that Baskin and his North American counterpart, Veneno, heavily preferred this pick. If Spacestation Gaming advances from this best of 3 set, we can certainly see that pick be contested over.
So just 1 Gold Fury, 1 Pyromancer so far, split evenly between these 2 teams. Gold Fury going to Black Dragons, whereas a Pyromancer for Spacestation. But with this next one being available, it's Spacestation that had a little cheeky poke at it there to see what was going on. But the Oracles went the way of Black Dragons, so they do have vision against the Janus. Spacestation need to be careful.
We were highlighting what Black Dragon's late game composition was all about with the mobility, the penetration of GonnZ, the safety from PIBE, but Spacestation Gaming have the ability to stay in teamfights for a very long time with Aquarius now. Level 17, having Lotus Crown for extra protections. Needs the Rod of Asclepius, though, to boost some of those healing numbers.
Oh, Space and Time has been fired. Gold Fury is getting low, and in comes the Space and Time round the back. It splits the uprights. Gold Fury's still alive, getting low. Black Dragons blasting it away in the sky. Andy, though, he's going to look towards MarcelZ. Aegis used, he limps away, but the second rat is waiting.
Baskin landing in the back line. Andinster takes out the Hunter. BaRRaCCuDDa takes out one. Baskin with a second one onto PIBE. It was Black Dragons with the Gold Fury steal, but they're about to lose their fourth member unless Kliz can get out here.
He's fast. He's got the speed of the threshold too. So maybe he'll take him on a wild goose chase, not towards the fire giant Kliz. I think that's where Space Station want to go.
Absolutely, but maybe not, considering BaRRaCCuDDa is on the left side of the map, securing the tier 2 tower, granting his team an additional 1,500 gold. And look at this pincer maneuver.
Kliz just looking to try and run away and keep buying time for his team. Round the corner comes andinster out of the side, though, looking for him once more. Icons do connect, as do the slows, but Kliz's ultimate is up to separate him a little bit more. And in the end, the tier 2 tower for Space Station and traded the Gold Fury for Black Dragons. Well, definitely a favor for Space Station gaming there, I feel.
Absolutely, because with all the respawn timers from Black Dragons, zGonnZ, PIBE, MarcelZ, they all took a spill, which means that for that duration of time of respawn, they're not farming it up. And no one from Space Station actually fell in that encounter, means that they have all the farming in the world, spreading their forces all across the map between left, middle, and right. These North Americans are just running away with it.
Well, now with the whole left-hand side of the map out of options of things to do for Space Station, realistically, Gold Fury's down, all the towers are down. I think we'll see more attention to this right-hand side now. BaRRaCCuDDa already starting up that Pyromancer, and that will fall before Black Dragons have anything to say about it if they wanted to. And now it's all about, I guess, defending this fire giant that Space Station might be confident about doing.
But you don't want to overcommit to the defense. Kliz going to use that ultimate defensively, trying to desperately get to that tier 2 tower just in the nick of time.
Tell you what, though, he got 2 ultimates out of Space Station, but the rest of his team not in a position to help him out or defend the tier 2 tower. So now Black Dragon's almost just down to that one in the mid lane in their Phoenixes. The Space Station gaming fall back to this right-hand side. They see zGonnZ in the mid lane, and Baskin's going to go for a sneaky little stealth option to try and get in range. Just not in time.
Waxing Moon was used, but with 30% cooldown reduction, it'll be back up momentarily, but that Petrified from BaRRaCCuDDa not having cooldown reduction in his build, as most hunters generally tend to avoid unless you're getting that Transcendence, so he won't have that for another 45 seconds or so. The rest of Black Dragons could use this opportunity to maybe group up, force a team fight, but they're just down so many levels, Graham. It's just so difficult to get back into this.
And I think that's what they may have to do here, is if they do lose this fire giant totally, the one benefit they have with Black Dragons is this Janus. On defense, those space and times can clutch through walls, hit a couple of people, and maybe turn it back around for a moment. And they may have to play at the tower line. Their clear at tower line isn't the worst in the world.
Black Dragons need to say a couple of Hail Marys and hope for a Hail Mary out of Nann to clip the Fire Giant at the last possible moment, because if Black Dragons are in the vicinity of this objective, Space Station Gaming are going to instantly peel from it and look for some more team fights, utilizing this level 19 Chang'e that's probably going to go into the Rod of Asclepius.
Space Station just taking a moment to set themselves up. They've got plenty of sentry wards on this right-hand side. And andinster's just pushed up the wave on the left to make sure no tier 2 towers are looked at. BaRRaCCuDDa leading his team towards the Fire Giant pit. And it looks like we may start this up.
20.5 minutes. Space Station Gaming will pull it for the moment. 4 members right there, but andinster looking for the flank. He gets spotted by the sentry ward. Very well placed out of Nann. Space Station Gaming peel off of it, looking for the global ults.
andinster in the sky, drops down on 2. Being used early by MarcelZ. MarcelZ going to get spun on by andinster and picked up by Jeff. But the split of difference is Kliz on the front line is causing them some problems. Nice pull from Baskin, actually, who turned into the Khepri, but it doesn't come up as big as they wanted to. BaRRaCCuDDa, however, will pick up the Janus.
Oh, but MarcelZ from the frying pan straight to the oven. He avoids death on the right side, but jumping in the jungle, not the place to be. 2 Brazilians are gone, and Space Station Gaming have plenty of time to secure this objective.
Oh, this Morrigan could become a pick as this tournament goes on, totally. I mean, we saw signs of it yesterday. Maybe some of the players were just keeping it quiet for when they needed it.
So after day 1, nobody was picking Chang'e in day 1.
You're right.
And I knew for a fact, like, Chang'e would be heavily picked. I knew also that Morrigan was going to be up there. I thought Ra potentially would squeeze on by. Hercules was hidden for the most part in day 1. So a lot of these strategies that teams didn't really want to show are starting to reveal themselves. Global pressure is the name of the game with this Ratatoskr choice from andinster. really allowing Baskin to follow suit.
Not really had chance to see the Black Dragons trying to make attempt at anything so far. Generally, ever since they got that Gold Fury, that first run of the game where they answered back Spacestation Gaming's aggression, they've just been trying to follow Spacestation around the map and respond because they've not had many other options.
Ever since that really botched purple buff invade attempt from Black Dragons where they both died, it went downhill very quickly, unfortunately. Spacestation Gaming, when you give them an inch, they're going to take 10 miles, not even 1.
They have to do that to make sure they make their way on. This game one's looking comfortable for Spacestation Gaming so far. Don't count out the crits from zGonnZ, though. They could make an impact, as could the Janus too. They're not the worst on defense overall with the comp they have here together. It's just how Spacestation Gaming play it and how they're looking in this game one is much better than we saw them yesterday.
With how aggressive Spacestation Gaming are, they might not have the defensive capabilities to peel for their backline. And if Baskin is out of position for even a moment, those crits from zGonnZ could seal his fate. Doesn't have Deathbringer quite yet, but the crit percentage between this Rage and the Poison Star is still good enough against a Glass Cannon Mage.
5 men down mid from Spacestation Gaming, then Nann on the left-hand side, just trying to push up that wave to not have to deal with 2 lanes at once. And he got a dash in there, looking at zGonnZ, who responds in kind. But now the Phoenix threat is here.
Great sentry vision control from Black Dragons, making sure that Spacestation Gaming can't use that to their advantage to look for the poke and re-engage. But you need somebody there around the sentry ward to start poking through the wall. However, Nann is on the left-hand side. Good ricochet onto Baskin.
It was, but look at the sustain that came out straight afterwards to answer some of that back. Nann getting some good poke too, but they've got to make sure they can deal with this. Do they have much anti-healing in the builds? I don't remember seeing much of it coming up from Black Dragons. And he's had enough for waiting around here, it seems.
Definitely tired of it. JeffHindla goes in, but MarcelZ jumps over the fact, still waiting up in the sky. andinster finally lands onto 1, forces Kliz's ultimate defensively. zGonnZ trying to make a play happen in the backline, but he has to retreat.
Andy under pressure, but gets topped up. BaRRaCCuDDa takes down PIBE's life. zGonnZ's ultimate is already on cooldown, and he's going to dip out of dodge, as does MarcelZ with the Aegis used during the leap. And that means this Phoenix will fall in the mid lane. Spacestation get what they come for, and now they're going to swing to the right-hand side.
Nann and zGonnZ needed to coordinate their ultimates a little bit better to hit the primary targets. Just too much sustain. Spacestation Gaming with the Fire Giant buff and this Chang'e between the Lotus Crown and now finishing off the rod of Asclepius. The utilitarian Chang'e from Aquarius is starting to show his true strength.
Like the call from Black Dragons real quick to try and push out this left-hand side. Just find some farm in that side of the jungle before they get back to defense. But they have to be back here soon because Spacestation haven't given up. Look at the ultimates all on cooldown. Outside of PIBE's and Kliz's, Relics, bit of an opportunity here for Black Dragons to keep the aggression going.
Still another 30 seconds remaining on the Fire Giant buff. Spacestation Gaming will not stop until they get another Fire Bird. However, Jeff taking a little bit of poke, needs to wait for some more sustain out of Aquarius. However, Kliz took a bit on his side as well.
Very respectful actually from Spacestation Gaming, but Black Dragons having none of that. They look for the space and time towards Baskin. Didn't find the target. They're looking at Jeff actually. Jeff could fall down here, but Nann needs help. And he's just whacking away on the back of his head.
Trying to retreat on the left side. Nann will escape for the moment. andinster looking to chase him down. zGonnZ escapes south side and the blink to disengage. andinster maybe could have chased that considering he had the speed buff.
But they're going the wrong way. Everybody on Black Dragons is just running north, and I tell you what, north of the wall is a little bit dangerous at this point in time, Nann. Keep running, Frank, because Andy's not going to give up the chase here.
Oh boy, they're running straight into the base out of Spacestation Gaming. PIBE has to sacrifice himself for the rest of his teammates to live. Nann goes under the tier 2 tower from Spacestation Gaming. PIBE are running out of options.
Well, I mean, at least he got to see the Titan this game, Tolly, I guess.
That's true. There was probably... I guess that's the only way you'll see Spacestation Gaming's Titan.
If anything, best situation there is the fact that they managed to defend their own Titan Black Dragons by doing that. Buying time, not losing an additional Phoenix. The Fire Giant is due to respawn soon, though. A couple of wards maybe needed from Black Dragons to try and contest that here.
Now, I love the attempt that Black Dragons had with that initial play from Through Space and Time, but the problem was they all committed onto the tanky Guardian. Between more Guardian Mail, Gauntlet of Thebes, fully stacked, Mantle of Discord. This is one tanky Cerberus, and I believe their intentions was onto Baskin that was invading that blue buff, but he was just a little bit behind where they really wanted to. MarcelZ was hitting onto BaRRaCCuDDa, so he wasn't really hitting the same target. And that's a Ho-Yi with Mark of the Golden Crow. It's your duty and responsibility to eliminate the front line, not trying to box against the other hunter.
Fire Giant goes the way of Spacestation, and as zGonnZ was looking to try and pressure this tier 2, but he realizes that Spacestation are going to be on his Phoenix line one more time any moment now, so has to return to base. No real wards down here from Black Dragons around this area to try and keep vision of where the enemy will come from, but this space and times, they're going to be important here. If they can just catch one of the damage dealers, maybe they have a shot at defense.
Uh-oh. Some fire minions flooding down that middle lane. Don's going to have to deal with it in a 1v1 against andinster. Has to retreat back to his fountain, allowing the right side Phoenix to be almost effortlessly stripped away.
Yeah, Black Dragons just couldn't stop the onslaught from Spacestation Gaming at either one of these Phoenixes. There's only one more left standing, although the middle one is due to spawn soon. Spacestation Gaming hanging around mid for a moment. Maybe that'll be the call.
Well, they didn't get any sort of picks, so they can't just barrel down the left side. They get the blink out of JeffHindla, forcing the beats from Nann in the sky is one little rat.
And that's just zone work there from andinster. Go up and look around, and if anybody wants to come in, I'll drop down on your head, but instead falls back. Flashing Phoenix in mid means it will respawn, but it won't be alive for long, as immediately taken down by the members of Spacestation Gaming. They head to the left-hand side of the map.
Only one more Firebird to go. Spacestation Gaming playing very cleanly. They're not trying to overextend, trying to end the game quite yet. They know they have a very commanding 15,000 gold. I need to work on my numbers there.
It's all good. Gold Fury is going to go down here as well, just for good measure. And then a quick trip back to base to buy some of those potions, because most of them have already finished their whole build at this point. 17,000 gold.
Looking pretty solid, honestly. This is the point where you want to be, where you're 6 slotted, up against about 4.5 to maybe 5 items. It's looking very dicey for these Brazilians that are only holding on to one last Phoenix.
Realistically, Tony, I think Black Dragons are back to the drawing board now for Game 2. What's the biggest change you think they need to make? Is it? I think it's jungle control.
I don't think it's the draft, so their draft was fine. I don't think that they need to deny Spacestation Gaming anything in particular with the draft that Black Dragons currently have. I think that they got a little too ambitious on the enemy purple buff, and they couldn't control their own purple. And that's where the duel lane started to get really wild. Also, some blue buff invades were difficult to hold on. If there's action on one side of the map, I want to see zGonnZ avoid it and look for plays of his own on the opposite end.
All I see is just one Pestilence in the inventory of Black Dragons to deal with any sort of sustain. Even though the damage from Nann might be pretty useful, it's not enough to weather this storm, as Kliz will fall, zGonnZ comes through with a Sonic Boom. PIBE has to ult himself, not the prime target in these fights. Double kill for Nann, however, was pretty big. Sorry, a kill for Nann, should we say, is big onto Baskin to kill him for the first time this game. But now all 3 Phoenixes are down, and Spacestation Gaming head to the Titan route.
Fire minions already tanking the Titan for a little bit. Aquarius leading the charge. Titan goes down. Spacestation with game number 1.
Clean game 1 from Spacestation Gaming then. Nothing too crazy really required for them to find that victory. A lot of what we were saying totally, Black Dragons, they may try to make some plays. Didn't work out, and in the end, they lost control of both sides of the map.
There's something to be said about giving a certain team respect, but you can't give them too much respect to the point where you're letting them just walk all over you with those blue buff invades. And that's kind of what happened when they disrespected Spacestation by looking for that purple buff invade. There was a 1-level deficit. What was it? MarcelZ was only level 3 on the Ho-Yi, getting 1 point in every single ability. That ricochet that he hit was perfectly placed. It hit BaRRaCCuDDa twice, I believe, and stunning him, but level 1 ricochet is not going to deal that much damage.
Well, I mean, we look at the duel lane a little bit more. The Khepri and Ho-Yi up against Medusa and Cerberus. I think they could have just taken the fight at level 1 of wave clear focus. Khepri's really good in the level 1-4. Wave clear, buffing your minions, debuffing the enemy minions. Problem is that they chose to go into their jungle for the purple. Don't win the wave, don't win the purple. Rough day for Black Dragons.
A little rough. Could use that Khepri passive on top of it. Either way, Spacestation Gaming looked so dominant that last game.
Who do you guys think was MVP? I think there's definitely a few names you could mention here. I think the whole team performed pretty well that one.
I like Baskin's performance playing the Morrigan. He was left unchecked, to be fair to him, so he was left to play whoever he wanted. Mostly going onto the Ratatoskr with his Morrigan ultimate, and it's all about the global pressure, whether it was the Ratatoskr or the Mercury, that pick in general, going to be more popular as the land progresses.
So you think the combination of the quality that Black Dragons put together in picks and bans is fine?
Yes.
Just execution.
Yes, I think that the draft was totally fine from Black Dragons. I don't have an issue with what they gave away to Spacestation either. I think that the Amaterasu Janus combo worked well. They just never got to that late game. They were too far behind once they got there.
Let's get into the death to break it down a little bit more as these guys get ready for game 2.
Thank you, Hindu. Thank you, Anatoly Finch and Taco here to break down that tough game 1 there between Spacestation and Black Dragons, where really everyone looked good. And for me, it was nice that BaRRaCCuDDa was sort of able to get off to a good start, right? He got that double kill to get things going. The dual lane very much went their way. Glad to see him looking comfortable and confident.
Yeah, the team trying to do their best to work out of that dual lane this time around in match number 1, and I think that it worked out great. And if anything, Black Dragons ought to be calling an exterminator for game number 2 because they had a for sure rat problem in this one.
All right. They did. That they did.
You dad joked me. I had to hit you back.
Yeah, you did actually, huh? Oh, wow. Okay, I have to recover from that mentally and move on. Sorry about that, chat. Baskin, though, did a great job on the Morrigan. As you said, transforming into the rat repeatedly for those double global pressures from those ultimates. It was so strong from them, but sounds like when BaRRaCCuDDa bounces back, he wins over the hearts and souls of Mixer chat, and as such, he has been selected as your MVP. I think that's the right call here. He had a great start to this game and kind of just kept going from there.
Solid 10k damage over everybody else, and that's the kind of positive vibes that you want to be seeing after that bit of a doozy set from yesterday for the Hunter from Space Station. I think that this was just a prime example of what Medusa can do whenever she is permitted to have some of that snowball factor. As one of the more ability-based type Hunters, she can really outscale you in terms of the damage output from the early game, and once BaRRa had the lead, it's tough to take it away.
Yeah, he